Hi, welcome back. This is the Speakerstack music channel. In this video we're going to continue breaking down how I've created a techno rock track in Ableton. So in the previous videos we went through the drum kit and all the various parts of that I've got on separate instrument channels down here, and in the last video we had a look at the bass synth. So in this video I'm going to show you how I created a sweeping low synth synthesizer sound for the track. I'm just going to audition a section of it so you can hear how it sounds. If you want to hear the track in its entirety, there'll be a link at the end of this song. Essentially, the synthesizer follows the same pattern as the bass synth notes and also the low synth, which we've got up here. Moving through 4 different notes. We've got G, we've got A sharp, we've got C, and we've got G sharp. That's kind of creating a bit of tension in the song. So I set this up as a MIDI instrument channel using an analog instrument, which you can find in the instrument section, clicking on analog and then dragging that in. And then if I just scroll across, you'll see that we have, let's just get rid of that bit, the analog instrument in here. I selected a square wave for the actual pattern, had the frequency set at 146, resonance at 44%. On the filter section of the track, I've actually allowed the note to come in gradually in terms of the attack, have a lot of decay and sustain on it, but then not too much release. So we want the notes to be sustained in the song because it's kind of a paddy effect, but I don't want them to drag out too long. So that's how I've set up the filter on it, but with using the attack, decay, sustain and release elements of it. In terms of the amplifier, I want the loudness to come in very quickly at the start, so I've got a full-on attack there, 5 milliseconds, moderate amount of decay and sustain for that section, and a little bit of release, 500 milliseconds at the end there. You'll see that I've got it an octave higher. The notes themselves are actually on the 0 octave in terms of the positioning in this section, so I could have them an octave higher in here and just keep the octave there at 0, but it gives you the same effect in the end. And I don't have any of the final kind of output effects put on it because this is a bass synth, so I want it to be quite a stable, solid sound. On top of that, I put an EQ8. I've got a low cut high pass filter set at 100 Hz. It then dips with a bell icon for the bell filter for around 1000 Hz, and then I've got a high cut low pass filter at around 10,000 Hz. I've also added in an auto filter to create a bit of phasing, and you'll see that with that red dot there, that means that the frequency is automated. And if I just click on the automation, you'll see how that's been set up. It's a sweeping low synth. There's the auto filter. There's the frequency. I've just literally drawn in that shift in frequency, and you'll see that moving around as you're playing certain sections of the track. I'll just show you now. So you can see the filter moving, the frequency automation on that moving as it's progressing through this pattern that I've drawn in. Let's just close that down. I've then put in a reverb, which I haven't messed around with too much, but I have changed the dry and wet to around 43%. I don't want this to be too prominent in the song, so a great way of pushing a sound back into the kind of the back of the mix is to use reverb. So I've got that set at around 43%. I've then got a utility, and I've rolled back the width, the stereo width on the sound, because I want this to almost be like a mono synth that's coming through. not a polysynth. So I've rolled back the stereo. I haven't done much else to that section. I've also added a third-party plugin, which is the Chow Tape model, which just gives it a bit of an analog feel, and I've really just played around with that and got it in sounding how I kind of want it really for that part of it. And then finally I've added in an OTT multiband compressor just to boost the lower frequency. So this is a great way of focusing on certain sections of the frequency range and boosting the volume in those frequencies. And I've gone into the lower end of the frequencies and given it a boost on that part of it, as you can see here, just to get a bit more loudness coming through for that particular sound. So the OTT, the utility, the reverb and the EQ8 can all be found in audio effects here. There's the OTT, reverb down at the bottom, EQ8 further up, and utility right down at the bottom. So for all of these, rather than going to some of the pre-created presets, if you like, preset sounds and effects, I've actually just lifted the template itself into the track. And that's it. That's really the low synth. I hope that's been useful. I will have a look at the effects in the song in the next video. I've got a techno effect and a glitchy sequencer effect. So in the next video we'll have a look at those two. It's down as 4 particular instrument tracks, but actually in reality it is only 2 tracks, one on track 10 and 11 and one on track 12 and 13. This is because we're using the Cthulhu synth, and you need a kind of a master slave setup between 2 tracks. So you've got the Cthulhu on one and then the actual sound that you want Cthulhu to play through on the second track. Well, we can talk more about that in the next video. So just to say thanks for watching. Hope it's been useful. If this was of value, please like the video, consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks very much.